enjoy the show, play on Perjangers.
A Mattcast. Yes, I have gloves on. They're good gloves, too, because I like these because you can still feel the keys and you can still type. So, yeah, man, it is wintertime. It is wintertime. We are in December now. As the time of this recording, we had the Thanksgiving holiday that just passed, of course, over here in America. Some viewers, like my friend Vinny Green, over abroad in different countries. So welcome to Mattcast. I am Matthew Bugraw, the Matt Man, your host for this rant. Yeah, man, Thanksgiving went well. First Lady and myself went on up to see the parents. Had, Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, and then didn't get up until the next morning, same as tradition says. And, of course, lots of leftovers. We're all unpacking through. Great event at the Awaken Holistic event that we went to recently. So all that stuff is going good. We got a lot of more big announcements coming up in the future for you that we're working on here. Delco or Bust will be done by the end of this year. And a Bob, on that one. Because I only got a little bit of nip and tucking to do to make that one look nice on that end for you. But let's get into what I've been watching. The wintertime graspy voice. As we go through what I've been watching here, One Punch Man, still kind of disappointed, if I'm not going to be honest there. A little bit more action in this one, but once again, not with Saitama. Some other random boob that is fighting up against some baddies that, actually didn't get his ass handed to him necessarily, but it's all well and good. But my same comment as before, why not some Saitama action? You're well into your season. I don't know how much more last minute you want to get, but My Hero Academia did a fantastic job. That last episode where you just get a nice little bow on everything. You find out Dabi is not going to forgive Endeavor rather for the childhood and everything like that. Same thing with his other kid. That one wrapped up nicely. I like that one. I like probably one more wrap up episode if I had to think. I don't even know if that was the last one. I think that one just did such a good job wrapping everything up. Where everybody is and how they turned out. So really good stuff there for My Hero Academia. Gotcha Kuta is definitely steaming up. I love how that one is. And that's that rare anime that you get in there. There's at least one every season to where you get up to the 24 episode arc. A lot more, which I do love a good 24 episode arc anime over the traditional, 12 or 13 episodes. Gives you more time to expand the characters, like in Gachakuta. You get a little bit more history involved into that first season, which it gets the fans, you get to sink your teeth into it more. So I think that's something that really kind of helps that out with that anime. Besides that, man, F1, me and Big Brother and I do F1 Corner on Lugnuts. About every lug nuts that we do. We got one coming up. Hit the Mat Plays and the lug nut shorts out there and the Perjangers shorts for you guys to watch on our YouTube. But another thing I want you to watch out for is this first story. So this one's kind of playing off of what I was just talking about in what I've been watching with One Punch Man, because some YouTubers are working on a One Punch Man Season 3 remake. Yeah, that's right. They're primarily focusing on the Garo versus Uchiro fight, created entirely from scratch. YouTuber Middle posted an announcement with the announcement video with the following description. Our team is producing a fully hand-drawn pilot episode based on the Garo Orochi fight battle, created entirely from scratch. Each team member brings a key skill. Mark leads artistic direction, concept handles 2D effects, compositioning, VFX, 3D environments. G Master creates the storyboard, main animation. The middle manager manages clean line art, concept art, and team coordination. with animation, effects, 3D space, art, backgrounds, the final compositioning covered. We don't need AI. Our goal is to achieve the level of quality comparable to UFO Table and negotiate with Bandai Namco for the official IP. Thank you all for your support. Not a bad idea. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, even if you do a better battle like that. I mean, now, some companies, though, if we're going to look at history teaching us anything as a option of probability, you did see something like this actually doing something when it came down to Mandalorian, the season 2 finale, when they revealed the Luke Skywalker, spoiler alert, the CGI they used for him. A YouTuber actually went through and he did it himself better. So Disney hired him. And they kept what he did now when you go through and watch Mandalorian. It is that better CGI because of that guy. They got him on board. So sometimes you'll see somebody get a job out of stuff like this, which is not a bad ploy, man. I mean, hey, I am willing to work for anyone. Give me a call. Especially on fun story projects like this. You know, One Punch Man, I think the 3rd season could have been so much better. There's so much wasted potential in this show. I'm very disappointed in it, but I would love to see what these YouTubers put out for their fight on that, because a lot of times when you get into the fan art stuff, especially like infamously, since I already mentioned Star Wars, the updated Obi-Wan Darth Vader battle, where they took like fans and they just redid it with an awesome lightsaber battle. And I mean, if you would have put that into, you know, a New Hope, I would say, all right, print it, you know, because it was a different time when A New Hope was there. So adding stuff after the fact, that's where you'll get fans to really get their tits in an uproar as long as Star Wars is concerned. But One Punch Man, go right ahead, man. They have been stinking up this entire 3rd season. So I say go for it. Swing for the fences, as Babe Ruth says. A lot like swinging for this first actual story, I'll say. It wasn't for safety. The first rearview mirror was patented in 1921 and sold as the Cop Spotter to help drivers detect police. Before that, a woman simply suggested using a handheld mirror for looking behind you while you drive. In 1921, an engineer named Elmer Berger patented the first commercial rearview mirror, but he didn't market it primarily for safety. He sold it as the Cop Spotter to help drivers detect police cars. The idea was around earlier, though. In 1906, the pioneer British driver named Dorothy Levitt advised women in her book to carry a small hand mirror to watch for traffic behind them. The first known use of a race car was Ray Howrun. In 1911, Indianapolis 500, he mounted a mirror onto his car, which allowed him to get rid of the ride-along mechanic to reduce the car's weight, which at the time I'm sure is like a brilliant move. Like, I got a mirror that can replace you, okay? Don't start. You know what? Get out. I'm going to use the mirror. That's fantastic. So, unfortunately for him, the brick track vibrated so badly that the mirror was completely useless during the race. So didn't really work out for him there. But it wasn't until 1960 with the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act that rearview mirrors were finally mandated on all new cars. What began as a lady's simple tip and a racer's failed experiment and a way to avoid speeding tickets eventually came a safety standard equipment for all vehicles today. So while you may not be using it as a cop spotter, that's how they originally got it into cars. So I thought that was a nice, fun little story for us to, start off the Mattcast with before we get into any doom and gloom, just like this next story. So this next story is going to obviously split the room here. Nothing political because I don't touch that. But Ubisoft, I will touch, giggity. Boss believes that generative AI is as big a revolution for games as 3D. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot has stated generative AI has been integrated across the entire company, expressing his belief that generative AI is as big a revolution, in quotes, for video games as the shift from 2D to 3D. Guillemot spent a short but explosive minute near the start of a recent earnings call to speak on generative AI in particular, which appears to be taking a larger role in Ubisoft's works moving forward. Guillemot stated, "We are making great strides in applying Gen AI to high-value use cases that bring tangible benefits to our players and teams. It's as big of a revolution for our industry as the shift to 3D, and we have everything to lead on this front." Guillemot continued, "On the player experience side, we are continuing to make progress on the groundbreaking player-facing generative AI applications. Building on our new Neo NPC announcement in 2024, we've already advanced from prototyping to player reality, and we are looking forward to sharing more before at the end of the year." Guillemot finally stated that Ubisoft's embrace of AI goes beyond dedicated AI projects, and that AI use has already been integrated into every development team across all Ubisoft's offices. He explained, on the production side, we now have teams in all our studios and offices embracing this new technology and constantly exploring new use cases in programming, art, and overall game quality. So this is where we're at with AI. So what is now just a couple comments in a earnings call will have some people, running for the hills. Other people will be, embracing this fully. What I see here, a couple things that kind of stood out to me is on the production side, we now have teams in all our studios and offices embracing this new technology, whether they want to or not, and consistently exploring new use cases in programming, art, and overall game quality. Overall game quality. And art, if you're going into the concept art, hey, give me concept art, this, and this. Yeah, and then you give that to an actual artist. All right, work off of this. That you're using a tool to now give it to an artist so that they have a better idea of what you want. That cuts down time, development time especially. You have to pay this person to do this job. So I can see the AI being involved there to make a job more efficient, especially in the development process. You can have them, especially using generative AI for backgrounds and, just templates in games where, hey, I now have a open world. It's generative AI, so it's going to be different for everybody that comes into it. But now this person has this whole different experience from everybody else. Even when you look at it at NPCs level, once you put it into NPCs, that's a whole other, kit and caboodle in and of itself. I was playing, what was it? It was Where Winds Meet. And I'll probably have to put out a little video of that on it, because one of the first things that I saw in the character creator was you can add your voice in there and you can upload a picture of yourself and it'll pop it right there. I even saw it pop up on social media to where somebody updated, of course, John Cena's face, and that's how they play through with John Cena's face. But that's where you're getting to, where your character can literally look like John Cena or whatever picture you want to upload in there. And then it could be, the voice. Have, read this statement, just like the quick brown fox jumped over the brown lazy dog. Something to where they have every kind of syllable in there that they can now, the AI can go through and reproduce your voice. Having that as an available thing for an MMO or an action RPG, well, that makes the experience a lot more immersive, that you're seeing these cutscenes with you in them. That allows for a deeper kind of play style. Once again, it allows that fan to sink their, sink their claws even deeper into it. That's where I could see the real benefit of the AI being, hey, we use this as a tool, not as an overall thing to just make a game quickly, but we do use it so that, hey, we can expedite this. I use this. Hey, I got this concept art from the AI, but I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this. Now I have this real good, interesting character that I put into my game, as long as the core game is there. Some developers rather will go through and they'll say, no, I'm not doing anything with AI. It's all human from here on out, like Rockstar. Other people like Ubisoft will be fully embracing it. It's just like anything with AI. You have China going and fully embracing the technology to where their grade school kids are learning about AI, coding, programming, all this stuff to get them ready for that next level. That's where we kind of have to go into. And when you're looking at the gaming product, you can't just put that genie back in the bottle. AI is already out. The toothpaste is out of the tube. Now we have to mold it into what we need to use it for, so that you're not stifling creativity, because a computer can't be creative. The AI just learns and copies off of what it knows and what you're asking it. So it doesn't have that human free will in there. So as long as they still have that AI out there, which it will always be, we have to use it to our advantage, especially when it's something that you already have different things of companies saying, no, the working conditions and the hours are, detestable, and how they make this happen. And even with VFX and stuff like that for movies, how these guys who know how to do this, yeah, they got the job, but now they don't have a personal life or family because they have to work, Now we can maybe ease that burden off them guys. Everybody can still have their job, but we have AI to help us make this better. And yeah, sometimes you're going to have that quick deadline, but giving the actual time out to the creators and giving them all the time they need to develop the said ideas, I think, is the main idea there. So that's what I like about that story. It's not all doom and gloom when you look at AI. If you look at a company like Ubisoft and they're looking at how I can do this and use it as a tool to make these games better, I think we'll all agree that Ubisoft needs some kind of help, and why not let the AI help them? So we'll leave off at that for this next story. I like this one, and I'll tell you why, because it's futuristic. It's so futuristic, it's cool, because speech restoring brain chip gets FDA approval for human trials. This is the first ever trial of its kind approved under the FDA's investigational device exemption for speech restoration. 2 volunteers will have tiny high-resolution electrode arrays implanted near their brain's speech center, just 1.5 millimeters deep. By imagining speech, the chip will decode their natural signals and convert them into either text or synthetic voice based on the individual's past recordings. The CoNexus chip doesn't just stop at speech. It may also interpret imagined hand movements, potentially allowing users to control cursors or digital devices using only their thoughts. This device is powered wirelessly, think smartphone style inductive charging, and transmits the brain data to external AI system trained to translate thoughts into words in real time. It's an ambitious leap for people with conditions like ALS or severe paralysis, and a powerful reminder of how far neural tech has come. As paramedics, Paradromics, not paramedics, CEO Matt Angle puts it, we're very excited about bringing this new hardware into a trial. Restoring speech to people with ALS or severe paralysis, and being able to control a cursor, some kind of computer device with your thoughts. That's almost a step up, I love that. Adding technology in there so you can actually talk to your loved ones. You can text with your brain thoughts. You can think something to your spouse and they will get a text message. That would be awesome enough. Not enough to just go putting it in there if you don't have a problem, but it's nice to have that option, right? If, the worst does happen, you could still speak and be heard. So that's what I love about that story. On to the next one. So this one's kind of cool. Saw this one come across my desk, and I'm a nerd. I always like to let you guys know when they have some nerdy stuff in the works, but apparently a new original series is in the works over at FX. A brand new Far Cry anthology series is coming to Hulu with a whole new setting, new cast, and the exact level of chaos your therapist told you to avoid. Another name I saw tied to this, which I hope is true, is Rob Mack. Always Sunny in Philadelphia fame, Rob McElhenney. I think he goes by Rob Mack now. No dead naming around here. But Far Cry series, especially this one comment that I saw in here from this guy named Bruce. He said essentially that he hopes that each season takes on like a different game. The third, the fourth, the fifth games, all having like their main theme run through one season. I think that's a good option. The other thing you could do is just keep it a true anthology and just pick the moments, right? And then as the seasons go, you let those moments that you picked evolve from each story. If you want to keep it in because the anthology, I'm a fan of them. I've done an anthology, at least one at this point, written, a couple. Written for anthologies is so much fun because you're just taking this one little sliver of an episode and you're putting your thoughts and ideas into there. So having Far Cry as, just taking it like, all right, third game or, like New Dawn, taking that as an episode and how you could just do even like a slice of life, just a moment in that day of New Dawn, having like a new recruit go through the religious zealot, his area, whatever, crazy cultists aside, I think this is going to be a good series. I think Far Cry has some legs to it. Whenever you try to adapt a video game, you run the risk of just doing what that video game did, like Call of Duty. I want a war video game. Well, what do you want it to be like? I want it to be like one of them old World War II movies. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, I want it to be like Hurt Locker. Oh, awesome. There you go. And then when they go say they're doing Call of Duty, you're like, well, you're going backwards there, man. All right. It's not like that for Far Cry. Far Cry has a long enough series where if you're going to do an anthology, there's a lot of different ways you can take that, especially if you're giving the writer the area they want to pick in there to do and not, giving them the freedom that an anthology can kind of give you. I like that idea there, especially putting it on Hulu. Hulu apparently going into Disney Plus at the end of the year. We don't know what is going on with Warner Brothers, stuff going on with Netflix saying, I got cash. The government like, nah, fuck that. Paramount. So we'll see how Warner Brothers turns out. But, when you look at Hulu, they still have some good stuff out there. Shonen was an award-winning show this year. I'm pretty sure it was this year or last year. That second season. Killed it. So you can find some good programs out there on Hulu. I mean, even I think What They Do in the Shadows had a huge following. There's a lot of stuff that you could still find on there. So, while it's not everybody's cup of tea, bringing on ideas and projects like this, it's not all going to be Twisted Metal or Halo. Sometimes you'll get that diamond in the rough. A lot like the roughness of this next story. Scientists. They're raising concerns again about the widespread effects of consuming, oh no, here it comes, fast food, chips, and soda. Hang on, I got a button for that. Oh, yeah, it's going to be worth it. All right, I'll do it again. Ready? Fast food, chips, and soda. No! I know. But research indicates that these highly processed foods can negatively impact nearly every organ system in the body. High levels of sugar, unhealthy fats, and additives contribute to the inflammation, oxidative stress, and metabolic dysfunction, which over time can affect the heart, liver, kidneys, and even the brain. Frequent consumption of fast food and sugary snacks is linked with weight gain, insulin resistance, and an increased risk of chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and fatty liver. Chips and fried foods are introduced trans fats and excessive sodium, which can impair cardiovascular health, elevated blood pressure, and promote harmful cholesterol levels. Sugary drinks, meanwhile, spike blood sugar and contribute to metabolic imbalance, further stressing organs and increasing the risk of inflammation-related issues. Reducing or avoiding these food and replacing them with whole nutrient-dense options can help protect organs and improve overall health. Incorporate fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Supports natural detoxification, reduces inflammation, and maintains organ function. Being mindful of diet choices is critical for long-term wellness. Limiting fast food, chips, and soda can protect your organs, enhancing energy, and lower the risk of chronic health problems. So I know it's easy. It's real easy. There's 7 choices like right there. But in the 8 going on 9 years I've been in Delco, rarely, if ever, will you see me doing fast food. If I want to be lazy, maybe I'll go to Wawa, maybe Wawa, but it's just as guilty. But what do? In Perjangers is we have a balanced meal every day, at least 3 of them, keeping that diet in there. I don't go out to eat. I usually go to the grocery store, get what I'm going to have in my house, and I go based off of that diet, even gluten-free. Woohoo! Not that bad. There is actually, all joking aside, there is a lot of good gluten-free stuff out there. First Lady embracing her gluten-free diet. And I have lived with a person with gluten intolerance. It's not that bad, actually, just switching over. And the hardest part about it is saying, man, this looks good, and having to set it back on the shelf because you see that word wheat or, something with that dirty gluten in there that'll just turn their knife in their digestive system sideways. So you gotta, staying away from even fast food. You get away from the inflammation, which inflammation is one thing. We're a big sack of water. Of course, we're going to get inflamed. You got to be mindful of it, incorporating, like I said, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats, the fast food, chips, soda, all that stuff is damaging every single organ in your body. So, had to sprinkle a little sunshine in there for you with that one, because I don't eat fast food, and apparently you shouldn't either. But let's see what else you should do in this next story. And you know what? She'll probably put her headphones back on after hearing this story, because a new study, I was talking about the First Lady. She's sitting over to the side of me, but a new study says TikTok and Instagram can actually rot your brain, as she puts her headphones back on. Listening to the TikTok, and if you won't stop a-rocking, this new study of almost 100,000 participants found frequent use of TikTok, Instagram Reels, and unfortunately for me, YouTube Shorts is linked to weaker attention spans and trouble staying focused. I'm sorry, I just couldn't figure out what the hell the rest of this said. Lost attention. But researchers say constant rush of fast-paced clips conditions the brain to crave instant stimulation, which can also lead to poorer sleep, increased anxiety, and stronger feelings of loneliness. So, you lonely? Sad and lonely? Really feeling anxious about it? Get off TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. All right, not YouTube. You want to go on YouTube and watch Lug Nuts and Mattcast. So, all right, not all of YouTube, just the shorts. That's why you got to watch the full episodes. I put the shorts out there anyway. But apparently, I'm rotting your brain when I do that. So, should I really rot your brain? I mean, I'm trying to, give you information. So, that's what I saw. I'm not your mother. Little known fact. I'm not your mother. But I might mother you about this next story. Yeah, this is the last story for this Mattcast. A little bit longer one I have for you today. But your brain matures in stages. Adolescence now extends into your 30s. Study identifies 4 critical brain development milestones. So you think you're done and all grown up after high school? Well, think again. A groundbreaking study reveals adolescence doesn't truly end until your 30s. Scientists have now mapped 4 pivotal stages in brain development, challenging everything we thought we knew about growing older. The first key age is around 11, when the brain begins its early remodeling. By 18, emotional control circuits start to sharpen, but decision-making skill still isn't fully baked until around 25. Logic and long-term planning kicks in, but not until your early 30s. So you're not even looking at logic or long-term planning until your early 30s. That full integration of emotional and cognitive brain systems completes at that point in your 30s. So that's when adolescence is done. This means the impulsiveness, the identity shifts, and emotional turbulence we associate with teens might still linger on into late 20s, and that's normal. Rather than thinking of adolescence as a short chapter, this study urges us to view it as a much longer journey, one that molds our careers, relationships, and sense of self far beyond our teenage years. Your brain is still evolving, and that's a gift. Embrace the rewiring, it says. So, 11, 18, 25, and 30. So 11, your brain's just starting that early remodeling, putting up new drywall, making the window boxes. Windows aren't installed yet. That's around 18 when the emotional control circuits start sharpening up, right? You got the electrician in there. He's popping in all the outlets. And then at 25, that's logic and long-term planning. We'll start around there. Not until 30. Your decision-making isn't even fully baked in until about 25. So you're not even a good decision maker until you're 25. So that's where the brain, they always just kind of said when I was a kid, we really don't understand that thing. And now through the years, they are learning a lot more about it. And especially knowing, I think the last thing I heard about the brain was like, your brain ain't even done cooking until you're 25. Now, actually, it looks like more 30, about 30, and then about 60 or so, I think, is the other end of where it starts to shift into the elderly phase. But, let's say 60 or 68, I believe it was. But, your brain shifting in phases, growing throughout your life, that's more of it. And then by the time you get into your early 30s, you've already gotten all that logic, long-term planning, decision-making, emotional circuits, hopefully aren't short-circuited by that point. But understanding more of the brain, just like want you to understand, to go over to our website, pjandwh.com. That's where you're going to find all of our great content between Mattcast, Lug Nuts, silly little podcasts, sex ed, and everything in between and more. All popping up for you there. Hop on over to our YouTube. Just search in there, Perjangers and Wallhangers Media Network, and you'll find us right there, as well as on the Facebooks. So besides that, guys, I'll see you next time. And until then, I love you, I miss you, and can't wait to see you. Until then, drive on and game on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Fun.
But of course, I want you to hit that subscribe button, like, comment below, right above my head. Oh, right, over to my left. There we are. Is every single Mattcast in a playlist, and over on the other side is the very best Perjangers and Wallhangers video for you. And until we see each other again, game on and drive on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Fun.